Holy motherfucking shit, motherfuckers, man. That was fucking bad fucking ass, dude. Fucking deicide, man. Triple shot, sacrificial suicide, dead but dreaming when Satan rules his world. Fuck yeah, dude. Let's call up Taylor right the fuck now and see what the fuck is going on in the world of deicide and much more, man.
Hello.
Hello, Taylor.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Dude, what the fuck is going on, man? We just
not too much.
We just got done blasting some fucking classic deicide, man.
Hell yeah.
Holy shit, man. Fucking getting ready, dude. Fucking tell us, man, what's going on in your world, man?
It's a busy one, as always, which is a good problem to have. Well, yeah, I just joined Deicide, so that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I've been learning a lot of their stuff as of late, and I mean, you know, I've got about 100 other bands that I'm keeping busy with as well.
I know, man. You're a busy
keeping my head above water.
You are a busy guy, man. Can you tell us a little bit about this Deicide thing? Like, how did you get hooked up with the guys, and like, how did this all go down?
Well, in 2019, my band, The Absence, toured with Deicide in the U.S., and we got to know the guys and got along really well, and actually found out that Glenn lives like 2 streets over from Jeremy and I, where we live.
Nice.
So Jeremy and Glenn became good buddies, and they ride bikes all the time, and it's just it's a funny little scene thinking about that. But long story short, Chris is I believe he's the head A&R at Dean Guitars, so he's focusing on that for right now, and heard that they needed a guitar player, so I made learned a couple songs, made a couple videos, and Glenn saw him and liked what he saw, so we had a couple practices, and bing, bang, boom, here we are.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, dude. That is badass, man. What's so you're learning the Deicide songs, man. What's your what's your take from that, man? How's there's a lot of stuff, isn't there?
Well, yeah, about 12 albums worth. Well, when they first asked me to start learning songs, they said, well, start learning Legion, because this year is the 30th anniversary of Legion. Mm-hmm. So later on in the year, we're going to be playing it start to finish live. So that's been the main focus of the last couple of weeks. It's just hammering down those Legion songs, which, man, that has been a blast to just delve into those tunes and that songwriting, and it's a speedy one, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is fucking cool, man. I remember when that record came out, dude. Like, that's I mean, those, especially those, I like all their albums, but those first 3, man, were definitely they hold special memories for me. But I mean, I remember when I heard Legion, that just, I mean, it was insane. Like, that was I don't think I'd really ever heard, that was like the second. I think I had heard Sepultura before that, but then it was Deicide. That was my introduction to death metal, pretty much, at the time when it came out. And it just,
pretty solid introduction.
Yes, yeah. I couldn't get enough of it, man. Yeah, I saw somewhere a while back that they were talking about putting out some like, I don't know if they were going to be remastered versions of the early albums or something, or are they going to put out like on vinyl? Or do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything that's concrete. I mean, maybe there is something in the works, but not to my knowledge yet. I mean, I know Glenn and Steve have a ton of old stuff, and obviously they have a bunch of albums that they can, I'm sure, do a re-release or a reissue or something like that, but not to my knowledge at any point.
Oh yeah, I've seen them live a bunch of times. I saw them with the original lineup, and I seen them also with Ralph Santola. Rest in peace, man. He was fucking. That guy was crazy, man.
Yeah, he was something else.
Oh yeah. So, are you guys working on new material as well, or is it just going to be celebrating the Legion?
Well, right now we're focusing on the Legion stuff, and then obviously me just trying to learn a full set. Otherwise, there is new songs that we've been working on. Like I said, we're kind of just focusing on the Legion stuff for right now, but there's definitely a ton of killer new material on the way. I don't know, what the time frame is when we'll record or anything like that, but there is new music, and it's killer so far. So
hell yeah, man. Well, I gotta ask you, man, like as a fan, because I'm sure. Can you tell us, what are some of your favorite Deicide songs from your?
Well, obviously, "Homage for Satan" is a big one, but that was mostly because that guitar solo when I first heard it was, wow, outer worldly. Ralph was such a unique player, and anytime you hear one of his solos, it sounded like him, and I think that's so important in being a guitarist, is having an identity, and I think that hooked me. It was his leads, but I grew up listening to the first 3-4 albums, really, mostly the first one, because I started out more of a thrash guy and then kind of slowly got into the death metal stuff, so that was kind of a good transitional piece. And then Legion, that was a bit more technical for me. I think it took a couple more listens for a teenage mind, but I mean, any of it really. There's great stuff on all the records, but When Satan Rules His World is probably one of my favorites, and that's one we've been jamming at practice, which is pretty killer.
Yeah, we just played that one, man.
Ooh,
such a killer.
Perfect.
Track. Now,
Satan Spawn was always crazy, just because that intro is terrifying, and then the music comes in and it's like a freaking freight train.
It is, and that was Glenn's baby, wasn't it? They recorded.
He has a son named Damon. Yeah,
they recorded the sound of his. I guess when he was he was a baby.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact story, but I think it was some sort of baby monitor or something like that.
I remember reading about that. Yeah, I didn't know that at the time, though. Like when it came out, I didn't learn that until years later. But yeah, when it came out, when you're listening to it, it is fucking crazy sounding, man. Yeah, it's scary as fuck. It's like, fuck, what the fuck is going on, man? What the hell's about to happen? And then the music comes in, and it is so pummeling. It just destroys your brains, man. If you got it, if you got it blasting loud. Oh yeah.
So that's a pretty fun one.
Oh yeah. So as far as you though, man, tell us about your history in music. Like, how did you get into music, and what were some of your influences growing up?
Well, I didn't have a super musical house. I mean, my parents were both, I would say, music lovers, and they would play, the Beatles, and my dad played Alice Cooper and AC/DC and stuff like that. But it wasn't until I heard the earlier Aerosmith stuff when I was probably 11 or 12 that I really decided that rock was the only way. So, that and early Queen, stuff like that. And then it slowly, built into, Metallica. My older brother had the Black Album, and he made me a cassette copy, and, then I started taking guitar lessons, and, I wanted to learn Van Halen and Aerosmith and stuff, and he said, all right, well, how about have you heard this Metallica album? And it was Ride the Lightning, and I didn't know that yet. So that was like another step to the dark side. And then, you know, it kind of just snowballed from there. Like, well, if you like Metallica, you'll probably like Megadeth. And then, well, if you like this, you'll like that. And then my guitar teacher really, I had two teachers really that opened up all sorts of bands to me, like anything from King Crimson to Death to At the Gates to Alice in Chains and anything in between. So they were pretty important in my early guitaring. Got a guitar when I was 13 for Christmas after begging my parents for a couple of years. My older brother played drums, so him and I had a band growing up, and we kind of, you know, got our chops together and kind of just kept at it. And then I grew up in Pennsylvania and eventually moved down to Florida with Jeremy Kling, who plays in Venom Inc. and Inhuman Condition and about 100 of my other bands. He told me to come down, and been living down here ever since. And it's just kind of snowballed into what it's become today.
Oh yeah, man. What was your first guitar?
My first guitar was a Johnson. I don't know the model. It's like a Strat kind of thing, but it was a Johnson guitar, and it came with a 10-watt amp. And I have it. It's sitting right next to me. I still have it to this day.
I still have my first one too, man.
Nice.
When you were jamming on that first guitar with the 10-watt amps, yeah, I remember, man. I used to have a little one too, just like that, dude. Like, but how did it have a lot of gain? Like, did you have to add distortion to it, or like how was your reaction? Because I remember plugging in and being like, "What the fuck, man? There's not enough. It doesn't sound metal."
Well, I wasn't super into metal when I got my first guitar, and I actually had started a band with some buddies, and we had jammed a little, and we had a couple practices before I even realized that there was distortion on it. There was a little button there that I'd never pushed, and the other guitar player went over and pushed it, and I'm like, "Oh my God, are you serious?" So I played clean guitar, probably horribly, for the first who knows how long it was, but yeah, it didn't have a whole lot of gain, but you know, for a 13-year-old, it was like basically having a Marshall stack.
Yeah, hell yeah, man, hell yeah. Now, as far as Inhuman Condition, man, that last record was bad fucking ass, dude. What's going on with those guys?
Thank you much. We did a couple tours. We did one in September on the East Coast of the U.S., and then we just did one in the Midwest in early January, and did about between 10 and 15 shows on each of those runs, so that was good to finally hit the road and play these songs live. And we, in between all that, we have record number 2 mixed and mastered, artwork ready to go. So we're kind of crazy people, and we were just on a just go. So we'll probably try and release that this summer sometime, maybe late summer. And yeah, we'll probably self-release again like we did the last one, and see how it goes. Just hope the word of mouth keeps going.
Oh yeah, I've had Jeremy Kling on before too, and it's funny the stuff that you're talking about. It really reminds me a lot of the way that he is too. Like he's a maniac too, just like got stuff going on all over the place, man. Constantly busy.
Yeah, we actually live together, so we're crazy together all the time.
Nice.
Yeah. Well,
we were talking about your first guitar and that, and it made me think about it. You know, we got to know, like, what is your current rig? Like, what are you playing through now, man? For all the gearheads out there, because I know they're wondering.
Well, I have a Jackson King V. I believe it's a Pro Series, and I'm in the process of swapping out the pickup for a DiMarzio X2N that's going to be in the bridge. And I just got a Schaller Lockmeister tremolo system. I play Ernie Ball strings, Klotz cables, because they're just the best cable on the planet, I have to say. And then right now, I'm kind of in the market for a new amp to dedicate to Deicide, but I play the Marshall Valve State 8100 quite a bit, which is actually a solid state amp. And I originally got that for when I was playing with Massacre, which became Inhuman Condition. I guess that's the head that Chuck had used in Death on, I think it was Symbolic and Sound of Perseverance. So that's kind of a cool tone to have around. I also I have a JCM 800 that I use for a lot of my leads for recording. And I also have a Randall, I'm bad with titles for the models, RG100ES, I think is what it is. And that is the amp that Dimebag used to use on Cowboys and Vulgar Display and stuff like that. So I kind of bounce around between, obviously each band has a little bit different tone, but yeah, the Valve State is pretty sweet. It's pretty dependable, pretty easy to dial in a, early 90s death metal tone. So, and I usually run some sort of tube screamer before it goes into the head, just to kind of clean up the low end and give it a little bit of a sparkle on top.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, you know what? I've always loved solid state amps, dude. And there's a lot of people that'll be like, it's not gonna be as heavy if you don't have tubes. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I just
It depends on the application, I mean, I didn't realize until after getting this Valve State that so many albums that I listened to were solid state. I found out that the first two Meshuggah albums were solid state amps. I think they were Valve States. And, obviously the Death records and Spiritual Healing, Chuck played that Randall amp. I didn't know that, so that was interesting. And, White Zombie, Pantera, a lot of the Terry Date, Deftones stuff sounds a lot solid state. So there's a lot of killer records with it. And, I mean, I guess, yeah, like I said, depends on the application. For some bands, it might not sound good, but I haven't had any issues so far. So
yeah, I think it all just depends on the player and the ear. Like what makes you feel good when you're playing it and listening to it. But I mean, yeah, for sure, man. There's definitely a lot of heavy records that have been made with solid state amps, for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, and with the Inhuman Condition stuff, we quad-tracked guitars, so there's two on each side, and one tone on each side is the Valve State, solid state, and then one tone is the JCM 800, so it gets that kind of best of both worlds, which is kind of a cool combo.
Yeah, it's a really thick wall of sound, man. I love that record, dude.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Oh yeah, man. That riff, Tarantula. It's so fucking...
Well, funny thing about that, when we originally recorded the record, which was supposed to be the new Massacre album, Jeremy and I recorded all the drums for the whole record in one day, which was, I think, 13 songs at the time. And then I think that night we went and saw, I think it was Power Trip and Obituary or something like that.
Oh, nice.
And Power Trip was just killer, and Jeremy was like, we should do some sort of, kind of have like a hardcore riff in one of these. And I'm like, heck yeah, sign me up. So the next day we still had the drums set up, and he actually went in and recorded drums only. He made that intro, which, has like 100 drum tracks. And then he just wrote and recorded the drums, just said, all right, get me 16 bars at this tempo, and then change it to this tempo, and I'll try this beat. And then I went in and recorded the guitars afterwards. I just wrote the riffs to his drums, which is kind of cool.
That is really cool, man.
So that was written drums first.
Oh, yeah. All right, man. Well, I got some questions for you coming in from the listeners in the chat room.
Okay.
Leviathan wants to know, how does it feel to perform with death metal legends?
It feels pretty unreal, to be honest. I mean, those guys are all friends of mine and have been friends for a couple years, so it's not like weird playing with them or anything. But I mean, obviously, I've been a fan since I was a kid, so it's a pretty awesome honor to play with these guys and to play these songs and you know, rip these leads and play these classic riffs. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Another question, Secret Weapon wants to know, tell us about the ugliest tattoo you got.
Oh, God. Well, I only have two, and they're not super special, but, well, I guess neither of them are ugly, really. I have a tattoo of a teardrop on my finger, so when people complain at me, I can hold it up and, you know, give them a boo-hoo. I guess that would probably be the ugliest tattoo. My only other tattoo is a Megadeth tattoo that I got when I was 18. So,
nice.
You know, I'm still proud of that. So.
Fuck yeah, dude. Dave Mustaine's fucking badass, dude.
Yep. I mean, he may be a character, but his music is something else.
Hell yeah. Next question, Leandro wants to know, are you planning on making an inverted cross? I think he's talking about the forehead thing.
Oh yeah, probably not. I think I'll pass on that. You know, I don't want to take Glenn's thing away from him. So
that's Glenn's thing, man.
Yeah, he can pull it off. I don't know if I could.
Oh, I'm sorry. That question was from Donald Blair. My bad. These fucking people in the chat room, man. So, another question. Carl wants to know: do you have any thoughts about touring in Canada? Are you guys going to Canada?
I don't really know what the touring situation is right now. We just had a European tour cancel that was scheduled for April, and it sort of seems like anywhere outside of the U.S. seems unlikely that we'll play, you know, until later this year. But you know, we have a couple things booked, I think, for the spring, but it's up in the air on whether you know, whether things get better or whether things shut down again. So I'm probably not the best one to answer that, but as soon as we're able, you know, I think we're all itching to play shows. So
nice. Next question, Donnell wants to know who's your favorite guitar players from the band Deicide, like throughout their history?
Well, I like obviously the Hoffman brothers for what they contributed to the band with the riffs and their crazy solos and everything. That's pretty great. But obviously Ralph was such a huge influence on my playing growing up as well. So lead-wise, probably Ralph, but riff-wise, well, maybe even Steve. Steve wrote a lot of the music, and he's a pretty killer guitar player. So maybe I'll say Steve and Ralph.
Hell yeah. Rich of Doom wants you to know that he got to play with Deicide a few times with his band, Day of Doom, and he says this was some great times, man.
Nice. Hopefully we'll do that again soon.
Another question, Secret Weapon wants to know how many pedals are on your board?
It depends on which band I'm playing with. For Inhuman Condition, it'll probably be similar to what I do with Deicide, which will be I have a wah pedal, my tuner. Well, for Inhuman Condition, I play 2 amps at the same time. So I have a tuner, that gets split. Excuse me. And one line goes to one head on one side of the stage and one line goes to the other. But I usually only run a wah pedal, a tuner, a tube screamer, and then a delay pedal through the effects loop, and then maybe a noise gate or a ISP decimator just to get rid of some hum or some hiss.
Hell yeah. Another question, Leandra wants to know, will you ever come to Portugal with any of the bands that you're in?
I'll come to Portugal with all the bands as long as somebody books them.
Hell yeah. Another question, Lady Red wants to know, what do you prefer, bloodbaths or showers?
Well, I feel like people probably want me to say bloodbaths, but I'm a shower guy.
Who's got time for that fucking shit, right?
Well, you know.
Especially
sometimes you just got stuff to do and you want to just do it quick.
Totally understood, man. As busy as you guys are, man. Fuck, I can't imagine. Next question, Vicky wants to know, have you ever played any haunted venues?
I don't think that I have. Maybe I have and I didn't know it. I played a show next to a haunted house once. I think that's about as close as it gets.
Carl wants to know, have any chicks ever tossed their panties at you on stage? Do they do that now, like still nowadays?
I don't know if they do that at too many extreme metal shows, but I can't say that I personally experienced it or that I can recall anyway. I mean, we get so many.
I don't think that's really a death metal thing, man.
Yeah, you might get a chain wallet or something like that.
Yeah. So what's coming up next for you guys, man? Like, what kind of plans do you have down the road? I know you said you guys are planning to do a tour to celebrate the Legion album, and then
yeah, that'll be this summer. There could be, I mean, anything could happen. We could have some stuff pop up. So we're kind of just prepping as best we can. As far as Inhuman Condition, we sort of have to work around Deicide, Obituary, and Venom Inc.'s schedule, and we're all decently busy this year, so we kind of just try and fit in some dates or recordings whenever we are all free and home. Probably going to be writing a new album with The Absence soon. I have that punk band 4 with Jeremy and Speezy from Creator.
Yes.
We have another album that we're finishing up. I have that 70s rock band called Umbilicus with Paul Mazurkowitz from Cannibal Corpse. It's like a 70s hard rock, a little 80s, a little 60s. We're finishing up our full length right now. I'm actually mixing that. So that should be coming out this year. So a lot of studio stuff. Hopefully some dates, this summer and towards the end of the year. So fingers crossed on all that. But just, making more albums, working on this Inhuman Condition release. We're going to have some pretty killer box sets and merch ideas. So for those that are collectors, stay tuned.
Man. Well, Keith was not fucking lying when he said you were a busy guy and you got all kinds of stuff going on, man.
Well, sometimes if you just have too much spare time, you do stupid things. So it's really for my own good.
Hey, man, this stuff ain't stupid, dude. The stuff that you're doing is fucking badass. If you guys ever come around Tennessee, man, let me know and I will be there to bang my head with you.
Absolutely. I'll let you know when any of the bands come through.
Hell yeah, man. Well, before I let you go, can I get you to make us a station tag?
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Whenever you're ready, say something like, "This is Taylor from Deicide and Inhuman Condition," whatever else. I mean, you can name the whole list if you want to.
We don't have that much time.
And say you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
Hey, what's up? This is Taylor from Deicide and Inhuman Condition, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio. Yeah!
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Taylor, for taking the time to talk to us, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, what I'm going to do now is going to blast some Inhuman Condition for these motherfuckers so they can go fucking nuts.
Killer. Right? Nice.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later, brother.
All right. Thanks, man. Take it easy.
Cheers.
Bye.
There you have it, folks. Taylor from Deicide, Inhuman Condition, live on the Zach Moonshine Show with Metal Devastation Radio. Like I told you earlier, put your speakers in your fucking windows, put them in your front lawns, put them in your neighbor's driveway. If you're living in the basement, duct tape your speakers to the fucking ceiling. Serious, man. Do I have to fucking go through this every time, man? I'm telling you, motherfuckers. Crank it the fuck up loud. If you don't see U-Haul trucks everywhere tomorrow, what the fuck are you doing, man? Really? What the fuck are you doing? Crank it the fuck up loud.